Hey everyone, Mike here, and in this video we're having side by side the Asus MeMO Pad FHD 10 and the Apple iPad. These two aren't really competitors, as the iPad is significantly more expensive than the MeMO Pad, but if you're considering one over the other, stick with me for the rest of this comparison. For starters, the iPad is a wider and shorter tablet than the Asus Slate, and that's because it bundles a 4x3 screen, while there's a wider 16x10 one on the MeMO Pad. As a result, the iPad is more comfortable to use in portrait mode for reading books or browsing, while the Asus is better suited for movies as you're getting smaller black bars on top and below the content. Either way, both can be used in either portrait or landscape modes. That aside, Apple uses an unibody aluminum case for their Slate, while Asus went for a smooth and textured plastic shell available in several different colors. If you want a premium device, the iPad is the one to get. But when it comes to actually holding and using the tablet, I lean towards the MeMO Pad. As the plastic back is grippier, its edges are rounded and not as sharp as the one on the iPad, and last but not least, the entire Slate is lighter than its competitor here. Of course, I doubt these things will matter that much when you have to pick between these two. The ports around the sides might, to some extent, as the MeMO Pad does offer microUSB and HDMI connectors, plus a microSD card reader, while on the iPad there's only the Lightning port, plus all the other standard buttons and knobs. The screens, however, should have a more decisive role, and here's where the iPad outmatches the Asus Pad. We have IPS panels on both these tablets, but the one on the Apple Slate is sharper, brighter, offers better colors, deeper blacks, cleaner whites and superior viewing angles. Now, you should not get me wrong. The display on the MeMO Pad is definitely good and most of you will probably be happy with it. It's just that the one on the iPad is superior no matter how you take it. Of course, we could also compare the screen on the MeMO Pad with the one on the iPad 2, which is closer to it in terms of price. In this case, the iPad still wins when it comes to pretty much everything except for pixel density. And the 1024x768 pixel resolution is way too low these days, that's why I'd rather have the Asus Slate between these two. At the end of the day though, when choosing between the Asus MeMO Pad and the Apple iPads, you're basically choosing between Android and iOS. Each operating system has its own aces down the sleeves. iOS is very fast, quite reliable and backed up by a vast selection of high-quality apps. Android is snappy too these days, as there's Jelly Bean 4.2.2 on this Asus device, is far more customizable and in many ways smarter than iOS, at least for the time being. That might however change once iOS 7 is officially released, we'll see. However, the apps within Google Play are the ones keeping me far away from a 10-inch Android tablet. Now, just to be clear, there are plenty of apps in there, but only some of them are actually optimized for large screen devices. As a result, you're getting poor looking textures, stretched interfaces and a lot of pixelation. As for the games, there are more titles available for the iPad, and even if you have the same game on both platforms, there's a fair chance the textures and graphics will look poorer on the Android device. GTA Vice City is just one of the many examples, as you can see here. Hopefully apps will catch up in the future, now that Android tablets are getting more and more popular. For now though, I'm mostly using my iPad, while the 10-inch Android slates are gathering dust. The hardware has an important role in this comparison too, as the iPad packs a more powerful platform and is the snappier of the two. That however also makes it less efficient, as well as leads to extra heat. As a result, the iPad's back tends to get quite warm when playing games, but that was expected given the metal body that conducts heat easier. On the other hand, Apple's tablet will last longer on a charge, but don't forget that it packs a battery nearly twice as big as the one on the MeMO Pad. And it's not going to run twice as long. Even so, you're getting about 12 hours of video playing and 8 hours of gaming on the iPad, as opposed to the 8 of video looping and 5 of running games on the MeMO Pad. And there are other small details worth mentioning, like the stereo speakers on the MeMO Pad, the faster and more reliable wireless connection on the iPad, and its cameras that take more refined videos and clips, as you can see here. But those will probably not matter that much in your decision. With all this being said, it's time to draw some conclusions. On one side we have a fairly good Android tablet that ticks most of the right boxes, but only impresses with its excellent price over features ratio. It's a tablet well suited for everyday activities and watching movies, thanks to its screen, speakers and support for all sorts of video files. On the other we have the iPads, either the latest Retina or the cheapest iPad 2. Both run smoothly, will last for many hours on a charge and are backed up by a more powerful iOS tablet ecosystem. The iPad 4 is faster, packs the Retina display and is the more polished option here. But at the end of the day, the MeMo Pad starts at only $300, while the iPad 2 starts at $400 and the Retina Apple Slate at $500. If you can afford to pay $500 for your next couch buddy tablet, the iPad is in my opinion still the best device you can get in this class. For almost half the money, the MeMo Pad has plenty to offer and is definitely something to consider if you're more into Android and don't care much about gaming. As for the iPad 2, I'd personally stay away from it and better get an iPad mini. It's almost as cheap as the MeMo Pad and bundles all of Apple's software strength in a smaller, more portable package. With that in mind, it's time to wrap this up. Thank you for watching and don't forget to hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel and share this video if you liked it. And of course, let me know what would you choose between these devices. The MeMo Pad, either of the iPads or perhaps something else. Leave your comments below, I'll be here reading and replying. And I'll see you soon.